Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The second Global Product Owner Summit is coming soon. You can get all the details at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. And it's all lowercase, all one word. Oh, and stick with us until the end of the episode to know the dates and the tracks that we have for you in this year's summit. But for now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode, this week with Jörn Hendrik Ast. Hey, Jörn, welcome back.
Hello.
So we've talked about change in both of the previous episodes, so why not continue the trend, but this time go deeper into what change leadership really is about for us as change agents and, of course, Scrum Masters and Agile coaches. So share a story with us, Jörn, of a change process you were involved with and walk us through the steps, how it happened and what were the techniques, the approaches that were used. And as you go through it, highlight for us also, what were the key lessons, the tools, the tips, the tricks you learned back then that you still apply today?
How many time do we have?
10 minutes.
All right. Okay, so I would love to talk about the biggest project I'm currently working with, and it's a very exciting project. Also out there to be read. I think it's only in German, but still it is there. It's one of the biggest construction projects here currently in Germany. The idea is to dig a cable of 300 kilometers from the north of Germany to the south. That's the TH there, I'm sorry. And it's interesting because it is a construction and engineering project. So it has not so much to do with software development, but I still was implementing most of the basics that I was learning as a Scrum Master in various projects to this engineering team. And it was so we developed together a working model that we called operating model construction, agile construction working model. And we started also to integrate all different partners in actually doing so. So it was a scaled model from the get-go because it was a huge construction project with a lot of different partners working for example, we had the cable producer in there. Then for the other one, we had the construction companies working on the ground. And I was working for 50 Hertz, which is the TSO, who's actually providing the whole infrastructure for it. So it was a huge project. And we were starting in implementing all of the ideas for change, right? So in construction, you hear a bit about lean management. You hear a little bit of going forward to this. So now I'm thinking about less large-scale Scrum and implementing the lean ideas that connects. But this was the only idea that actually was out there. So we started really from scratch to develop the teams, to actually starting a working model where we talk about the roles, the values, all artifacts to use, all events. So, the idea was to create a working model that has 5 dimensions. And the first 4 I already mentioned. The fifth was workflows, right? So we're talking a bit about the different layers of work and how teams communicate. So it was a bit an integrating scaled model, so idea of scalability. And yeah, with anti-patterns and problems from the get-go, because we had what we called the frontiers of the agile working model that we needed to include, which was mostly management and other departments. So in construction projects, you work a lot with the PMO, which is budget management, risk control, quality assurance, which is traditionally aside from the teams. And this is actually the biggest anti-pattern. I wanted to create cross-functional teams who do end-to-end jobs, right? And then to really finish to the construction ground. But then I had the PMO who is doing risk management, budget management, quality assurance on the side. And actually it was very interesting to bring those two together and make them work. So huge project, huge endeavors, a lot of learnings, failures and all. So that was one of the biggest projects I have been currently working on.
So I have 2 questions that I want to explore a bit deeper, right? So the first one is, how did you develop this model in practice, right? So you were talking about developing this model with 5 dimensions, including the teams, different providers, and so on. But How did that work? Was it like a series of workshops? Did you have consulting sessions with the different stakeholders? Did the stakeholder teams were they present, or were they represented by, I don't know, a coach on their side? Like, how did you develop this working model for this construction project?
Yes. First of all, the overall organization of this huge project worth 1.8 billion euros has five different departments, and I was working only in one, the construction department. That is the department with the most pressure because they needed to put the cable into the ground, but they started with a big problem 2 years ago because they had a huge fight with the cable producer. I would say huge fight, but they had differences because they really needed to grow together as a team. So I started by giving a workshop. We did a Lego Serious Play workshop on agile methodologies to grasp the complexity of the current problems. And the project lead that I was working with, Torben, he hired me together with Patrick, the CEO of the cable producer, to actually talk about these differences and actually make the team grow together. So that was a beautiful first step. They started with a problem that they had, they identified, and they wanted to grasp the more agile way of working together, being more transparent, being more risk averse, being more fluid and flexible and working. So we started already by constructing Lego models and talking to us, like in a huge retrospective, why we need more agility, why we need more transparency, why we need more openness. And this helped to set the ground and the floor for a test sprint. So what I did then, we divided the team in 4 teams. Just quickly, just trying to, okay, you're in the team now. Let's sprint. And then we made 2 sprints of 2 weeks, a very rough planning, and we had dailies, and then we had some sort of review and a retrospective, and then we went on. And we did this with all 4 teams at the same time for 4 weeks, 2 sprints. And I really made this roughly, so I was not too harsh in punishing them with how to write user stories. We didn't care about tools. We just did it on a Miro board and a bit here, a bit there, and it was just, let's start. Let's see how it feels. And honestly, this was the overall concept of this working model. So I said, okay, we need, of course, I brought in all my experience. I was like, okay, Torben, let's start with values. We need to start with values. What is it that we want to bring in here? Is it courage? Is it commitment? Is it focus, right? And honestly, we kept a lot of the Scrum guide, right? So it was astonishing to see that we definitely, and the working model actually just depicts Scrum by numbers, right? So values, roles, artifacts, events. This is all the 4 stages of the Scrum guide still, right? And we just followed it, and we added bit by bit as we learned the more complicated stuff, right? So talking about a product backlog, talking about then the sprint backlog, and then talking about definition of done. So after 1.5, 2 years, we set our definition of done, which is crazy, right? But we needed to work towards it because people need to feel what it means to really be finished with a working item and who needs to be involved, right? So it was a journey that we embarked bit by bit, because the maturity of the teams was not there yet. It wouldn't have been useful to start from the get-go with a definition of done because they couldn't grasp the importance of a definition of done.
I think that aspect of starting with a real sprint, the first 2 sprints with not worrying too much about the details, but just getting started, I think that's a great tip also when it comes to forming a team, right? Because the teams can only form in execution. They can't form in theory on paper. Then the other question that I had was, how did you bridge the gap between what is PMO, which has a traditional predictive upfront planning mindset, with the agile teams, which have, of course, a reactive, adaptive planning mindset? So how were you in this project able to bridge that gap between PMO and agile teams?
I didn't.
So what did you learn from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is, and I want to say this, with a lot of care here. the construction area is not agile software development, right? So we need to take in respect that we adapted a model in a complete different industry. And of course, the management has a call for security on certain reporting lines. And so what I did was, let's see, this is what you'd want to have in your report, your monthly report as an overall project lead. Perfect. And there were things like, what about all HSE inflicts? That's so to say the working emergencies that happen, and also what is on the construction ground. So a thing that is very important, compliance, right? I said, okay, this is absolutely possible. We can convey those in a review, right? We can be open about what happens on the construction ground, but being open. So I took all of the items that the managers wanted to have in the report, and I mirrored them to what actually how we can convey this in our agile events, right? And most of it was already there, right? So having a good overview of all dependencies, this happens in our dailies, right? And we discuss it also in our plannings by bringing in the right people in the right spot of doing this, or refinements, right? So bringing in the right people and guests even to make a multi-team refinement. And this is so, and this was convincing, right? It was taking them with and explaining them to them how it works, right?
So what you were, if I understood you correctly, what you were doing was picking the requirements that the PMO had in terms of control, because that's actually the PMO's function, is to control the project. That's the words they use. Yes. And you were bringing up, these are the activities we do that provide the information you need in order to do your controlling function.
Exactly, and it was to inviting them always and inviting them to the reviews, to sprint review that we did. We had 4-week sprints, right? And inviting them and bringing them in. And then also what we also did was every week, Tuesdays from 1:30, we had an open agile Sprechstunde, as we talk in German. It's like an open hour where you can ask all your questions. And honestly, a lot of the PMO colleagues joined those open hours and asked questions because they actually wanted to learn and how this agile working model works. And so I try to pick them with their curiosity, right? To talk to them, to go over differences by making them see and integrating the colleagues into the teams, right? At some certain point, I have to say that we needed to separate them from the teams, because actually the behavior of having like a matrix organization that jumps into different delivery teams, as we called our teams, was hurtful. So the discipline of dailies, plannings, refinements actually lacked because people were leaving meetings before they end. They came in late and whatever. So we were controlling those meetings a bit, but then we're taking them back, right? And making more touch points and see how it happens. So honestly, this whole working model was a very agile, on-the-go developed model that had enough fluidity to actually make this happen. And I love models like LESS, right, who are very strict and very clear, one PO, one backlog, but it is just the aspiring goal that we were working to as a North Star to then take inspiration and to improve our working model on the go.
Yeah, great story. I would definitely love to pick your brain more about that, because one of the challenges we also have in the software industry is how to integrate an agile planning and thinking and execution model with the PMO top-down predictive controlling mechanisms that they bring in. So that's definitely an area that I would like to explore more. But thank you for sharing that story, Jörn.
You're welcome.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around and listening to the details of the Product Owner Summit, this year's global summit dedicated to a critical Scrum role, the product owner role, of course. We'll have some amazing keynotes and 4 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. The summit will take place between April 23rd and 25th, so book your calendars. There will be loads of sessions for you to attend. One of the keynotes will be Dave West, the product owner and CEO at Scrum.org, one of the largest Scrum organizations in the world. If you want to know more, check out the details at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/product owner 2024. We will also have 4 tracks. The 4 tracks will cover cross-functional product ownership. That's track 1. As Pixar's Ratatouille said, not every idea can be a great idea, but a great idea can come from anywhere. And this quote emphasizes the importance of a product owner being open to all ideas, regardless of the source, and also challenges us to focus on getting good ideas from everywhere and involving the whole team in the product owner role and responsibilities. The second track is designing products for growth, where we explore how to craft products ready for scalable growth, merging practical strategies with innovation. The idea here is to learn to design products for growth, whether it is sales or customer acquisition. The third track is Know Your Users, user-centric approaches for agile development. In this track, we learn to master user-centric techniques in agile development, to deeply understand customer needs and transform insights into meaningful UX designs that focus on engagement and satisfaction. This is a track ideal for innovation-focused agile teams. And the fourth track, one of the most exciting tracks in my opinion, is product development with AI, ideas for product owners. Not only do we discuss about using AI in the products, but also AI for product owners to learn to make a bigger impact with the help of the AI tools that we already have. The Product Owner Summit will also present to you great opportunities to network with your peers. So get your ticket and join our Slack. You can get the ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/product owner 2024. As always, we have free tickets and also the paid tickets that help to support this podcast. So check them out at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all lowercase, all one word, product owner 2024. I'll see you in the summit floor.